Good evening. The first part of tonight's class is going to be a little bit off topic, dealing with, I guess we can call it current events. And I have to say, Davar B'Shem Maimroi, I'm very grateful to Professor Elias Avadia from Miami Beach and Rabbi Dr. Isaac Batesh from Mexico City for helping me in the preparation of the first segment. I was reading on one of the religious websites, news websites, the Yeshiva World, a couple of days ago, a little piece, a note that really inspired this class. And it read like this: the Erloya Rebbe Shlita, he's one of the Rebbes in Israel, a member of the Council of Torah Sages, the Moyetzes of the Aguda, announced that the volcanic activity that halted air traffic over Europe sends a clear message to the world leaders. Following Shachris in his Beis Din on Sunday, the Rebbe expressed the cloud that halted the air traffic impacting the world. He explained, nations of the world believe that they run world affairs, but the creator of the world, blessed be his name, wished to show the world that there's a ruler to the world. And then he also added in a little footnote that his Talmidim should say the 46th chapter of Tehillim every day as a source of protection. What he was referring to is in somewhere that now became famous, but we always just heard it in theory. Iceland, the little country that has a total of 317,593 residents. We have more than that in, I think, 20 square blocks of Manhattan, less, maybe 10 square blocks of Manhattan. Had a volcano that erupted and really caused a lot of destruction. We know that in this world, when anything happens, it happens for a reason. There's something to learn. Definitely we have something to learn from it. And we'll dedicate the first segment of the class tonight to maybe take away something nice. What is a volcano? Let's start with that. So I don't know if you remember your schooling well or not, or if anybody here is a teacher. But on a very, very shallow level, it's an opening, or we can call it a rupture if we want to be more correct, in the planet's surface, or the crust of the planet, however you want to look at it, which allows different things to come out of it. Amongst them, magma, ash, gases, and there are other things too, but those are the three basics. It can take effect in many ways. Actually, there was a nickname for years among scientists, not that they admitted to this in its literal context, but they used to call it God's fire, because it was such a foreign idea to them, so that was the way they went about it. But around December in 2009, so they started detecting, I guess what you can call signs that something is about to happen in the area over there. The detection that they detected were thousands, literally thousands, of earthquakes, but very small ones, 1 to 2 magnitude each, that were constantly happening on a daily basis. Normally that means that something sooner or later is about to happen on a much larger scale. On the 26th of February in 2010, the Meteorological Institute of Iceland said that they're realizing that from under the crust of Earth, something's beginning to come up. From the 3rd to the 5th of March, they experienced about 3,000 earthquakes in Iceland. Now again, we relate earthquakes to Haiti, so we think an earthquake has to be this thing that takes down a country. But that's not precise. But, small earthquakes. And then finally the big day, right? That's a bad picture, but close enough. The fire comes up. Now I want to get the facts straight, and the reason why I'm breaking down a bunch of technical scientific facts is really to appreciate the message here. This initial eruption of this volcano was on April 14th. And then on the 20th of March was the first eruption, followed by the 14th of April, where it resumes erupting a little bit, and then the second eruption that it does on the 14th of April now develops into something else. And what it develops is not only sending up fire and things like that, but rather a very, very strong and large amount of volcanic ash, kilometers up into the atmosphere, which ended up leading into travel disruption around the world. especially in Northwest Europe. On the 15th of April, they closed the airspace of most of Europe. If you think about it, closing airspace is something that's not such a good idea because it affects so many people. They did it due to lack of choice, because years ago, about 30 years ago, when there were ash clouds also in the skies of Northeast Europe, and a British Airways plane didn't see it and went through it, all four of the engines failed as the pilot accounted for himself. And over there they had a miracle. They glided down 15,000 feet, not a lot of fun. And somehow, as they were continuing to glide to their end, he got the engines to restart. Later on experienced more engine failures, but it was known from then on that volcanic ash is dangerous, or any form of ash that's in the sky, and it can cause instant engine failures in planes, and therefore it's not worth the risk of putting a few hundred people in a jumbo in the air when you don't know if they'll make it to their destination. By controlling or closing all this airspace, there's a long list of countries that were affected by it. In one way or the other, everywhere in the world was affected by it, because you can't send things to or from, etc. But then there were the main countries that were affected by it because their actual own airspace had to be closed, their flights were closed, their citizens were affected, and most of all their economy was affected, which we'll discuss in a moment. But here's the interesting fact. On April 16th, 16,000 out of 28,000 of Europe as a whole's usual flights get canceled. On the 17th of April, 16,000 of 22,000 flights get canceled. It's always like that. During different days of the week have higher amount of flights scheduled than others. As of April 18th, the total amount of flights that were canceled were 63,000 flights. That's a pretty big number. Multiply that by, let's even give a low average with today's flying in Europe of 100 people per plane, and now do the math of how many people were affected by this. Since September 11, when the United States of America shut down the airspace for a few days, out of fear, rightfully so, there was never a time that so many flights had to be canceled due to any disaster of any sort. Meaning there was a very, very clear message that came through here, and a very unique thing that happened over here. Besides for the actual flights that were being canceled and these people being stranded, and if you watch the news you see all these horror stories. I was in the airport on Sunday flying somewhere, and again on Tuesday this week, and I witnessed tens, maybe even hundreds of little cots and mattresses on the floors of the airports, and the American Red Cross and a few other Christian organizations handing out food and these thin blankets and stuff to people who are trying to get back to Europe but can't fly because no flights are taking off and can't afford to be in hotels. And even some of them that could afford to be in hotels, there are no hotels available around the airports. And others believe that by sitting in the airport, they'll be the first to get on that first plane that goes. I don't know how that's going to happen. But, and you literally see it's like a campground. It's unbelievable what's going on. But besides for that effect on the personal traveler and the airline industry, remember this: our world is really based on business, barter, financial transaction, and everything has to do in one way or the other with import, export, or delivery. Now, FedEx, as of a few days ago, already said that they had to ground 100 of their flights going to different destinations that they deliver to in the world. DHL, UPS, all the other ones didn't want to make their customers panic, so they didn't say at all what's going on. But now take, for example, an industry like the Diamond District that does a large amount of business with transactions back and forth with different European countries, especially Switzerland and Belgium, other places. They were shut down for days. 50% of their transactions were in the garbage. They couldn't do anything because there's nothing coming in, nothing going out. More than that, you did ship something out before they shut down everything and you knew not to ship anymore. Now you live in fear for a few days that you're $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 of diamonds as in some sort of FedEx warehouse in the midst of chaos, and God knows if it's going to be lost or not, and if it's going to ever get to the right destination with all the tracking technology. And I know people that literally were living in fear for days now because of the amount of things they have going around in the world that are stuck in all different places. The airline industry right at the beginning claimed that they were losing $200 million a day by this chaos that's going on. That's enough money to make every Jew in the world religious, I think. See, I translate everything into something a little more religious than dollars and cents. But the biggest hit government of all the ones that were affected, the largest hit area of all the flights that were affected, was the British government. The airlines went to the British government and said they want compensation to keep them afloat. As it is, airlines lose money every year. And they're looking for money from the government. And the government, of course, gives a measly excuse saying that the EU has a disaster fund and hopefully they'll claim money from there. But honestly, I wish them lots of luck. I don't know if that'll ever happen. If this happened, there's a message. And here the innocent bystander has to ask one big word: why? What's the message? What do me and you tonight in a little room have to learn from a tragedy of this magnitude? So there's a little piece of information that hopefully by now many people know, because a lot of people started spreading this in email, and I really hope it spreads. But until a few days ago, nobody knew. And the piece of information is this. There is an organization, a government organization, it's a British organization, that title themselves as the ASA, the Advertising Standards Authority. They decide what ad fits the standard to go on TV and what not. Now honestly, based on the ads that are on television today, they must be a bunch of lowlifes, because to let a lot of this stuff go on, there's no rational justification for in the world. But instead of stopping all the ads that promote alcoholism and medication abuse and violence and domestic violence and all the other things that they're promoting through movies and other means of media on TV all day, they found one thing to make a big deal out of. This is like the world's problem that this organization came to solve. And here's the problem. The UK authority arbitrarily declares that the Kotel, the Western Wall, is not Israel. What does this have to do with anything? Doesn't this? They call it the wall of the second Jewish temple that was in Jerusalem, and it has nothing to do with Israel. What's their mission and what's behind this? So here's how it goes. The Europeans want tourism ads. You know, the Israelis want to attract tourists to Israel. So just like any other country, they put, or any other city, you know, you get tons of these ads on TV. Go to here, go there. So they put ads all over TV, especially in Europe, you know, showing different tourist attractions in Israel to try and get people, especially their target audience of Christians, to come to Israel, because Israel's economy is about 28% based on tourism. So they put an ad, and in that ad, one of the pictures that was in the ad, I actually have the picture here that they used, was the Kotel. And, you know, come to Israel, and one of the things that you got is the Kotel. And comes this organization, the ASA, together with the British government, approving their activities and saying that they're right and fighting for their activities, and says this: Europe wants tourism ads showing holy sites removed because it implies occupied territories are part of Israel. That means this British government decided that the Kotel that we go pray by is an occupied territory, meaning we stole it from the terrorists. And therefore, if we show that ad in a tourist commercial that's supposed to attract the tourists to come to our country, it's not honest, because that's not our place. And we're bringing them to a place that's not ours. We're promoting something that's not ours for our own interests. Suddenly they're so justified and everything has to be so kosher and clean to them. The British ASA criticized Israel for including pictures of the Western Wall in tourism advertisement, claiming it's technically not located within the borders of what they consider Israel. This is a whole new level of the war, I call it. Now, of course, the Israeli government had to respond. They responded very, very sharply, but it didn't help. And this ASA organization goes and insists that this is considered East Jerusalem, and East Jerusalem is not Israel, belongs to the Arabs, even though it's in Israeli control and everything else. And therefore, this ad can't go back on, and they did not let this tourism ad go back on air. To the point that I went and looked up on the ASA website to see what they have to say for themselves. I actually copied the actual paper. And it seems like they've been getting attacks from everybody and anybody on what they're doing. So in their contact us section, you can no longer contact them. It's the easy way out, just like all politicians do. And instead what they write is, this has been we've gotten a lot of feedback, blah, 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 and we do appreciate that some people strongly disagree with our decision, but our ruling does not prevent the Israeli government tourist office from talking about the Western Wall or Jerusalem in future advertisement, but it ensures that future ads don't imply that these occupied territories are part of the state of Israel. Meaning, not only didn't they retract, apologize, realize how stupid they are, but instead went and reinforced the same nonsense that they started out with. When did they do this? If you look at the date on the website of when this news came out, it was one day, less than 24 hours, before a smoke of cloud covered Britain and covered the airspace of Britain. So all tourists that ever thought of going to Britain won't be able to. And every tourist that was there is just going to drain the Britain's economy because now they got to provide for them humanitarian needs to keep them going. And there's no way in and there's no way out. The country's closed. There were over 1 million Britons stranded by ash. That's on top of their food shortages and many other things. And this was just in last week's part of the flight chaos. We have already 3 more days of it, even though they partially opened the airspace. In the own European press, this is the way they describe the outcome of this thing. A devastated tourist industry, less out of season produce, supermarkets, businesses forced to improvise, and higher prices on just about everything, right? You take advantage of a disaster. Europe's recovery from the economic recession probably will be set back again. And you hear that bragging that somehow they survived our recession. Well, guess what, Britain? Now they're back to square one. Banks, governments are worried about inflation. Credit is going to be tightened. Railways and roads are going to be overloaded with freight and people needing more reliable means of travel. And all these things are things that are going to crush their economy. Just the airlines over there alone so far, this is the most updated info that they put out, already lost $1.7 billion. And the head of the International Air Transport Association over there calls the fallout of what just happened something that's most devastating to the airline industry and to the economy as a whole. What's shocking about this? If you go back, not that long ago, just a few months ago, and read what the scientists wrote about the potential volcanic eruption in Iceland, they considered it dead. They said it was a dead volcano, it'll never erupt again. And even the signs are not enough to conclude that there'll be any eruption. That was their own scientists that today are now trying to figure out a way to justify their nonsense that they sold us a few months ago. Who was right? So the world, a lot of the scientific world is attacking these scientists that said that the volcano is dead. But honestly, if you really want to know the truth, I believe that the scientists were right. Up until the day that the ASA put out their nonsense. And then God went and changed the nature of the world and did what we know and we say in Ani Mammon and everything else, that the world is run midah keneged midah. You try to harm my children's country and their tourism industry, no problem. In 6 days I'll make you such destruction that all your work for years and stimulus packages and every other mess you ever did to make your economy recover is just going to crumble all again. Now, some of you are witnesses to this. And just a few weeks ago, in one of the classes, I quoted 3 people, Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the Prime Minister of Britain, calling Jerusalem a settlement. And my response to that was, then, and it's recorded, you can call Kol and go back to that class or whatever it is, was that they think they can decide what's a settlement and what's not in Israel. When Hashem says, you start up with my Jews, you pay a price. As history has shown, every single time the world put pressure on Israel to do something crazy, they got hit right back in their face instantly. But this time we see the link and the connection so directly that in my opinion it's worth spending half a class discussing this, just because to myself at least this was one of the biggest chizukim and emunah a person can get. And we see the hashgacha pratis, the hand that goes to the tiniest detail in every little thing that goes on in the world. Britain got theirs, and Obama should get the wake-up call before we'll have to give another class the wake-up call that he got. That cloud, it's kind of windy up there. It can come here too. I hope not, because I live in the air more than on the ground, but just in case it comes here, it's not going to be that funny. What does the Torah say about it? But Hine Sa'aras Hashem Chema. Sa'ara, all right, we'll translate in English in a minute. Yatza v'sar mischolel al reish rishoyim yachul. Behold, the stormy wind of Hashem gone forth in fury, with whirling tempest, it shall fall upon the head of the wicked. Sarah. What's going on? So the Navi continues. This is in Yirmiyahu Perek Chav Gimel. Lo yoshuv af Hashem, the anger of Hashem shall not return. Ad asoisoi v'ad hakimoi mizimois liboy, until he has executed and until he has performed the thoughts of his heart. Be'achris hayamim, in the latter days, the end of days. Tisboinunu ba bina, you shall consider it perfectly. Comes the Navi in Yirmiyah in advance and writes that be'achris hayamim, all the way at the end of the days, the latter days, Yemaisa Mashiach, is Sa'aras Hashem, stormy winds that come, and they come in fury, whirling clouds in all different forms and shapes to the world. And this is the anger of God, the fury of God against the Goyim that are causing problems to the Jews. And he tells the Jews, his Boinenu, pay attention, because here stands the code. This is the prophet's analysis of the situation. But come, let's learn a little bit of a medrash in Medrash Rabbah, Bereishis Mem Ches, and it's good to know the truth. Comes the Medrash and writes, La'osid Lova, in the days to come, meaning Yemois HaMashiach, that Achris Hayamim that Yirmiyahu was talking about, Yisrael Mifachadim, the Jews will be very scared, V'oivdei Koichavim Mispachadim, and the Gentiles will be scared too. Yisrael Mispachadim, how do we know? It's a pasuk in Isaiah Perek Gimel, Ufachadu El Hashem Ve'el Tuvoi. They'll be scared of God and from His good, which is interesting. What does that mean, from His good? Be'achrus hayamim, at the end of days. V'oivdei kechavim mispachadim, that's a pasuk in Yeshaya Lamed Gimel. Pochadu b'tzioin chatoim, the sinners will have fear. Achza ra'ada, trembling will hold them. Chanefim yagu lanu eishay chela. Who's going to protect us from the fire that can eat us all? Mi yagulanu, who's going to protect us from moikdei oilam, the eruptions of fire of the world. What's a volcano? An eruption of fire. No. Amar Yidua Simon, the Medrash asks, Lama hu kairei moikdei oilam? Why are they considered moikdei oilam? Well, what's the fires of the world? If the Malach that's in charge of them would give them the permission, they would go and burn the entire world with everybody who settled in it in Shoah in a very short period of time. Now, the world now is busy with a couple of concerns. One of the concerns that they're busy with, right, Obama made a summit about it, is the nuclear threat of the world. Even Russia agreed to sign some sort of agreement, not that means much, saying that they're going to limit their production of nuclear weapons. And then these fools get together and talk about nuclear weapons, and instead of being busy with one and only one problem, the real threat, they want to know where Israel stands in the whole thing. Of course, Israel's name has to be thrown into everything. Now, Lamaisa, God forbid should never happen anywhere in the world. If one of these lunatics decides to send some nuclear weapons one way or the other, what do nuclear weapons do? Destruction, mass destruction. But what type of mass destruction? So one of the things that they do is the heat, the temperatures that they raise are so high that they just burn everything around. They practically melt everything around, and that's why they're called gas fireballs, because there's no limit to what they do. The heat of the radiation, the heat of everything that they spread is very, very scary. Besides for that, the result of that heat is smoke. Right? You burn, you have smoke. And then what? Right? There's something called the nuclear winter theory. I don't know if you ever studied about that, but if not, look in encyclopedia today, and it's interesting. So they say this: if the world as a whole, and this is in '94, so imagine what today would be, would just explode half the nuclear weapons that they have, not even all of them, just half, then the result would be that there would be so much smoke in the atmosphere, it would be sufficient to block off the sunlight for several months. That's how much smoke would go up into the atmosphere from one of these little nuclear collisions. But now, when the sunlight's blocked off, what's the world? Dark. So first of all, this is not as a fact, this is just to spice it up a little bit. That was the picture that the New York Times publicized on the way the result of the volcano affected Iceland. A cloud of smoke that made a part of the country dark. But that's just as a sidetrack. But there is a Zohar. We quoted it in the past, but tonight it gets a whole new meaning. The Zohar says it's in Chilik Beis, and it's page 7, I think. Depends which print, obviously, but in the old prints. Before the Geula, Kedin, before the Geula, Yischashach Kol Alma, the whole world will be dark, Chamesh Esrei Yomin, for 15 days. V'sagin Ma'amadi Yisrael, and many of the Jewish people, Yumesim, will die, V'ahu Chashucha, during those days of darkness. V'al Doch Siv, and that's a pasuk that we all know, Hine Achoshech Yichase Eretz, V'arofel Le'umim, that the darkness will cover the land, and Arofel, it's even a thicker darkness, the nations. Lamaisa, we hope that we don't have to witness 15 days. The Goyen wrote that the whole Milchemes Gog Magog will end in 12 minutes. But this idea of darkness in the world today is not a foreign concept anymore, because we know we can create it ourselves. We don't even need some miracle, just a little nuclear activity, and we'll have that darkness in place. Now, go back, do your own homework tonight online, if you're online anyway, I'm not encouraging, and see what's been going on in the world just in the last few months. Haiti gets a little wake-up call, and when that wasn't a big enough wake-up call for the world, so Chile gets another wake-up call, an 8.8 earthquake. If any of you know a little bit about earthquakes, the magnitude of 8.8 is rare, very rare. When that wasn't enough, it's like these earthquakes are traveling from country to country. Turkey got a small one, another one. God willing, soon Iran will get one too, and that'll solve the nuclear problem. But it's interesting. One of the things we quoted over here was, that besides for smoke and fire, is the land cracking. That's an earthquake. So Chazal clearly wrote in advance that all this happens. They title these days Achrus Hayamim, and then they point out one more thing. There is a Chazal that says this: B'shosh umos oilam miskansim, at the time that the nations of the world get together and they talk bad about the Jews, they have negative things to say about Israel. Right after the Israeli Mossad pulled off a pretty smart move in Dubai and got rid of one less terrorist, we didn't really need him in this world. So all these European countries and then Australia had to add themselves in too, denounced Israel for forging passports and for doing this and for doing that. Leaving a terrorist alive to go do who knows what, that's okay by them because of humanitarian rights. Maybe we should give bin Laden a 5-star hotel room in Manhattan or something like that. But when the Israeli Mossad got rid of a threat to the world, instead of getting complimented and a thank you from the world, which was the first thing they should have gotten, everybody went against it. But it wasn't just against that activity. Once they start against Israel, you open a sore so it spills out. There's no end to what it spills out. So every leader who needed his 5 minutes of fame on national television decided that he's going to say something else. And if you'll do your homework, which it would take me hours to show this all to you and prove it to you, but you can do this yourself. You don't need me, you'll get shocked. If you take the list of all those that said something bad about Israel then, and match it with the list of earthquakes, volcano disasters, ash that blocked countries, and new economic problems that weren't foreseen, like Greece that almost went bankrupt recently until the EU is considering bailing them out and other things. Except for Australia and the United States, so far everybody else was hit. Those are the two left on the list. Meaning Hashem doesn't play around. This world runs with a hashgacha. You start up with Klal Yisrael, b'shah she'umas Yisrael miskansim, comes Chazal and says, the world shakes. The Rebbeinu Shalom says, don't start up with my kids. We to ourselves, on one hand, there is a little bit of a scary message here too. Achros Hayomim, it's a very scary message actually. There is a story that seems to be true. I can't tell you 100%, but the closest people to him say that the story is true. There's a Rav in Eretz Yisrael, a very, very big Talmid Chacham. He was once the chief rabbi of Israel for a short while. His name is Rav Mordechai Eliyahu. So he's been sick for a long time now, and in and out of comas, and his mental awareness states get better and worse and better and worse. There's a lot of ups and downs with him. But he woke up right after Pesach from whatever state he was in, like he got his clarity back for a few minutes, and he said that he had a dream. And I don't remember the names of the two rabbis that came to him in a dream and told him that really Mashiach should have came on Pesach, but because the tzaddikim prayed that he shouldn't come, they pushed it off a little bit to still give the frum people chance to do tshuva. Very interesting. That concept is an old concept by the tzaddikim, that they wanted Mashiach to wait a little bit so more people could still become religious and more Jews can become closer to Hashem first. But the Achros Hayomim part is clear, and that's maybe the scary element. But I want to talk about the positive element. That's where my focus really is. And that's what the message that I want you to walk out with tonight. The positive element of this is we see clearly how the Rebbeinu Shalom is manig the world with such an ashgocha. It's like a person who, lahavdil, on a baby level, has like 50 of the best world's bodyguards around him at all times, protecting him from anything that comes his way. It's like God literally sits and says, you start up with Israel, boom, you get hit. You do something wrong to a Jew, boom, you get hit. And piece by piece. And if this is happening on such a big global level and such magnitude of good and bad, then Kal V'chomer, Kol Yochid V'Yochid, and each and every one of us individuals, Hashem is sitting there every day looking down at us, and every single day protecting us and watching us through and guiding us through every single step. We have to open our eyes to see it and to feel that love and protection that we have. But I think that's the biggest chizuk, not only in emunah, but in confidence, and Jewish pride, that there's a manig to the Bria who sits and watches over us and takes care of us and makes sure that whatever it is that we need, we have throughout time. Now we go to what's supposed to be our real topic of discussion tonight. There have been many times that it's been spoken by many, this forum, or hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe even more, books about the topic of how to deal with life's challenges and obstacles, and mainly how to deal with life's tragedies. On one level or the other, we're all hit with something every day of the week. Nobody's not hit with something that comes their way every day. In the street talk, we say life throws a curveball every hour. And I say, thank God we're not in a baseball game, because you get a curveball every 4 pitches. But in one way or the other, we're getting them. They're coming our way, and we're dealing with them. So, of course, the most common way to approach this whole subject is chizuk and emunah, which is extremely important, and everything else that goes around it. But I actually want to take a sidetrack of an approach to show that there is something in life that it really fills in. It's the second half of what we began last week in a way. That there's a method. If we obtain this method and stay with it, most of life's challenges maybe come, but you never feel them anymore. And suddenly you can stay strong even when things look a little bit hard. Really all we're going to do is learn a piece of Chazal. You can go home and check in your father's bookcases yourself. And it's in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. It's not hard to find because it's right at the beginning, the start of Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. The start of Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer really comes to, I think, explain how Rabbi Eliezer came around. And this is what it says. Ma'aseh Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkinus. There was a story of Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkinus, Shahir la'aviv Chorshin, that his father had businesses of fields that they would plow and grow things on. Now when you have fields, there are different types of fields to plow, some that are easier and some that are harder. If any of you visited in kibbutzes or farms in Israel, I'm sure you've seen that Israel is not the most friendly place to grow things, even though miraculously they grow really well, but the land is rocks and a lot of it is hills and ups and downs, and it's much harder to plow that way. And if you go somewhere in Alabama where there's fields and fields that are straight and no challenges, it's so much easier to work there. So this father of Rabbi Eliezer, Hurkinus, owned fields that were flat and fields that were a little bit on a slant or a little bit harder to deal with. He had his workers plowing the easy fields, and he had his son Eliezer plowing the hard field. One day he comes to check out what's going on at work, and he sees them. It says, Yoshav Loi, that Eliezer, his son, was sitting, he was striking, and he was crying. Sitting there instead of working, he's crying. So his father told him, why are you crying? Maybe you're upset that you got the harder job of the two. From tomorrow, the workers do the hard job and you get the easy job. Alright? Next day, comes to check up, and did it help his strategy? And comes, and it says like this. Yoshav Loi, al gabe mana, he sat by the easy part, v'hoya boich. And he was still crying. Amaloi mipnei mata boiche. Why are you crying? Shema mitztar ato. Shata choyresh al gabe mana. Maybe this is also too hard for you. You don't want to work at all? You don't want to work at all? No problem. Amaloi, so he told him, Lav, no, that's not the reason. So he told him, so if that's not the reason and you don't mind working, so why would you don't mind not working now when I'm working? Either way doesn't make a difference to you. So so why are you crying? So he told him, Shani mevakish bilmay Torah, because I want to go learn. I don't want to be here at all. So what does his father tell him? So he tells him, you're already 28 years old. That's a pretty late stage to go learn. Now you want to start learning Torah? It's too late in the game. Elo, so what's the solution? Kach lecha isha, get married. See, even in those days, marriage they thought was the solution to most problems. V'toilid l'chal bonim, and have kids. Ve'ata moilicha noisun l'beis ha'sefer, and you'll take them to go learn in yeshiva. And we know, Chazal say, that, well, Chazal is about women actually, that when you send your husband to learn, or the kids to learn in yeshiva, so that's nashim b'mai zachya, and that's the schus. That means you have the schus of the Torah. It's like you have Torah that you learned. This is what his father tells him. So what does he do? He does what today is kind of popular actually. A hunger strike. Oso shtei shabosois v'loi to'am klum. He went 2 weeks and he didn't eat even a morsel of food. Until Eliyahu Hanavi came to him. Ve'omaloi ben Hurkanus, Lama ata boiche, why are you crying? Amaloi mipnei shani mevakesh l'may Torah, because I want to sit and learn. Amaloi, so he answered him, Imata mevakesh l'may Torah, if you want to learn, Alei Yerushalayim etzel Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Go up to Yerushalayim by Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, and he'll teach you Torah. Omad v'holach etzel Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. It says here clearly, what did he do? He didn't wait. He didn't go to say goodbye to his father. He didn't ask permission. He got up and he left. Because sometimes in life, if you don't make a move that minute, it'll never happen. He jumped into it and he did what he had to do. I keep it over him. The answer is very simple. And Allah says that when it comes to Torah and Shidduchim and anything that's for you, the benefit of your Yiddishkeit, there's no keep it over him. You don't have to listen to your parents. You do what's good for you. Yoshav v'hoya loy boiche. He comes to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, sits down and he's crying again. Amaloi, so Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai told him, why are you crying? Amaloi, because I want to sit and learn. Amaloi, ben miata, who's your father? What's your family name? I'm not telling you. Amaloi told him, in your life, did you ever learn how to say Shema, or to pray, or to say Birkas Hamazon? Amaloi, love. He told him, no, I don't even know how to say Shema. He's 28 years old. Hurkan is the son. He doesn't even know how to say Shema. Now, let's stop for a minute, just to make a point that I think is important. Imagine today, a 28-year-old guy walks into a yeshiva, sits down by the Rosh Hashiva's office and starts crying. And the Rosh Hashiva asks him, who are you? And he says, I'm not going to tell you. And do you know how to read Aleph Beis? And he says, no. He says, what do you want? I want to get accepted to the yeshiva. Is he going to take it? No. But what does the Pikei Rebbe Lezer say happen? And this is where maybe us rabbis and Roshivas together should all do a lot of tshuva tonight. Omaloi, amoid v'alamedcha. Get up and I'll teach you myself. Not go somewhere else. Not the Rosh Yeshiva himself, the big Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, has nothing better to do but to teach a guy Kriyishma. That's why he was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. So he taught him all three. When he got done learning, that's an accomplishment. Now he knows how to read, he knows how to say Shema, he knows how to pray, he knows how to do Birkas Hamazon. All three mitzvahs. Yoshev haya boiche. He sat down again and he started crying. Omar lo, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai sees him crying. And instead of saying like other people who said, oof, what a nudnik, he doesn't stop crying every day, a new story with him. Oh, drama queen. Instead of that, what does he say? Omar lo b'ni, my son. He already calls him his own son with such love. V'pnei mata boiche. Why are you crying? Omar lo shani mevakesh lilmoid Torah, because I want to learn Torah, not just how to daven. I aspire for more than that. V'hoya oimer lo shtei halochos kol yimei hashavua v'yachozer lo aleim umedabkom. He would teach him every day 2 halachos. Most probably because we say kol hashen halachos b'chol yom, 2 halachos every day. Muftach lo yishu ben olam haba. Could be that's the pshat, yeah? And the whole day he wouldn't say, okay, I learned 2 halachos, now I'm going to play ball. The whole day he sat and reviewed the same 2 halachos umedabkom until it became devik, his glue. Glued to him, that he wouldn't forget it, it's part of him. Every day, 2 halachos. Now he should be happy, right? Osa shmoyne yomim v'lo to'am klum. He went 8 more days, and he didn't eat anything. Another hunger strike. Ad she'olo reach piv lifnei Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. When somebody doesn't eat, so you get bad breath. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai came in to teach him one day, and it wasn't tolerable, his breath. So ve'emido in the phone of it, he said, I'm sorry, but I can't teach you like this. Al pi halacha, if there's a bad smell, you're not allowed to learn. Yoshav ve'hoya boiche. So again he sat down and he continued crying. Amalei b'pnei mata boiche, why are you crying? He said, Amalei, Rabbi Yochanan, you want to know why I'm crying? B'nei she'madetani miponecho ki odom she'mamid milefonav mukeshchin. Because you threw me away as if I was sick or something and you don't want us to be near me. Amalei, so what did Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai say? Let's pause for a minute again. What would we say? What do you mean, you stink? Go take care of yourself. Right? Point blank. What did Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai say? Amalei b'ni, my son, again, b'ni. Kishem she'olo reach picha milfonai. Just like I smelled a smell from your mouth. Kach yala, I give you a bracha. It should go up. Reach chukei Torah mi picha l'shamayim. The words of the Torah should go up from your mouth all the way to Shamayim. Amaloi, and then he asked him again, B'ni, ben mi ata, whose son are you? Amaloi ben Hurkanus ani. Told him, I'm the son of Hurkanus. Amaloi, v'aloi ben doilei olam ata. Your father's one of the wealthiest people around. V'aloi yisa makidli. What was the secret? Why did you hide it from me? So the rabbis explained the reason why he didn't say it was he didn't want to insult his father. His father didn't teach him anything. Amaloi chayecha, it's like a shvua. Hayoy mata soyed etzli. Today you're welcome to come eat by me. Amaloi, so he answered in glasati. I already ate itzalachsanya by somebody who invited me. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai wasn't stupid. He realized that this is not true. So I told him, oh yeah, who'd you eat by? So he gave him 2 names. So he went to ask those 2 people, and they both said he didn't show up. And then they told him, "V'aloi shmoyne yomim, it's been 8 days, shaloi ta'am klum, that he didn't eat anything." So afterwards he called him to eat. Then in Perek Beis, it continues like this. Omru bonov shel hurkinus la'aviem, alei lecho liyushalayim v'nadei ezbincha elozor min chosecha. Go up to Yerushalayim and put your son Elazar in Cherem. Why? We're here working in the business. We sweat all day. He does nothing. He's in yeshiva. Why should we give him money? Today also, Nebuch, we have people that think that way. I have to support my son-in-law that's sitting and learning. Let him go get a job. I work. Why should I give him my money? That's what they told him. Alei Yerushalayim, go up to Yerushalayim and Nadeh, and be Menadeh his son from the Nechosim. What did he do? The Ola Yerushalayim l'Nadoisai, and Hukinos went up to Yerushalayim to be Menadeh. But what happened? Umatza Sham Yom Tov, the Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. He saw that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai was making a big suda. It was a siyum. And all the big people, both in Torah and money, were all there, invited to this place. And then there's a list of who they were. And then it continues like this. Amruloi. So the Talmidim told Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, Harei Aviv shel Rabbi Eliezer ba. The father of Hurkinus, he showed up. What should we do? Amar lahem asulei makom. Let him sit down. I'm not scared of him. Let him come. They made him a place and they sat him near Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. And now he looked and he saw his son for the first time after a while. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai tells Rabbi Eliezer, get up and say it about Torah. But to see him. So Rabbi Eliezer tells Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, I'll tell you a parable. What's this like? What's your request like? If you have a 10-ounce cup and you fill it up with Coke, how much Coke do you drink? 10 ounces, not more, that's it. That's where it ends. So, Kachani, me also Elazar, I can't say it about more Torah than you. Everything I know, you taught me. So how can I speak in front of you? So he answered him back, I have a mashal for you too. To a spring that spits out water. If you try to fill up a hole of a spring with water, you can't put anything in. But to come out, it comes out unbelievable. So to you could say Divrei Torah Yoser Mimasha Kiblu Misinai, more than Klal Yisrael Makabel on Har Sinai. But he still didn't start speaking. No. Again, pause. What do we do? Okay, you don't want. And he would say, Lo tzarich. You don't want. You don't have to. Forget it. We'll go to the next person. No, that's not what he did. Oh my Lois, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, the big Rosh Hashiva, tells him by his own Yom Tov, by his own Suda that all the Gdolim are by. Shema mimeni atam isbayesh. Maybe you're embarrassed. Maybe you're a shy person, and because I'm here, you're embarrassed to speak. Hareini oimed mi etzlacha. I'm leaving, and I have nothing to be embarrassed of. Omad Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai v'holach le'lachutz. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai got up and left through. So Elazar, his Talmud, who at 28 years old didn't know how to read Aleph Beis, should speak. Understand a little bit the way Chazal looked at where we're supposed to treat people? Rabbi Eliezer started speaking. Upanov me'irois ke'or hachama, and his face lit up a light that was as strong as the sun. V'karnois of yotzes ke'karnois shel Moshe, and rays of light were coming from his face that lit up, just like Moshe Rabbeinu when he used to have to put on the mask. There was no way to tell if it's day or night outside, because his face lit up so much that it was light. Nobody knew if it got dark yet. But Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai me'achorov. At that point, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai came back into the room behind him. V'noshkai al roisho, and he kissed him on his head. And he said, Omar lo, he told him, Ashreichem Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, sheyotzo ze michalotzeichem. Lucky are you, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, that had a great-grandson like this. Omar Hukanus is watching all this. And he says, L'mi Omar Kach. Who did Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai say Ashreichem to? Omar lo le'Elazar bincha. He said it about your son, Elazar. Omar lo'em. So he told him, that's not fair. Lo kach lo'emar. He should have not said that. Elo. Ashrei ani sheyotza ze michalotzi. Lucky am I that this kid came out of me. When the kid wanted to go learn, the father didn't even want to let him go learn, but suddenly that he succeeded, now he wants to take credit for it. This is an old problem, this is not new. When somebody failed, Parents, between themselves, I see it all the time. You could always witness this in a grocery store. If the 3-year-old's behaving very well, the father tells you when you meet him, you see my son? And when he's not behaving, he tells his wife, look at how your son is behaving. Rabbi Eliezer was sitting when he was speaking. And his father was standing. When he saw his father standing, he got scared. Abba, sit. I can't say Divrei Torah while you're standing and I'm sitting. No, it's not respect. You have to sit too. Amalei b'ni, my son, lo yalkein basi, I didn't come to hear you speak. I came to be menada you from my nechosim, that you shouldn't have anything because your brothers complain. And now that I came to see you, and I saw what you became, your brothers lost everything. They're not getting anything anymore. And everything from now on belongs to you. No, Eliezer should have been happy. Huknas was a very wealthy man. He just got Gates' fortune in a second. And he didn't say that. Amaloi, he tells him, Dad, I'm not worth it. Why should you give it to me? I don't need it. If I wanted land, the Rebbeinu Shalom can give me. Because it says, it's all his. I don't need your land. If I want money or gold, silver or gold, the same Rebbeinu Shalom, I'll ask him and he'll give me. It's a pasuk in Chagig, Liya kesef Liya zov Num Hashem tzvokos. Elo lo bikashti milifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu elo Torah bilvad. There's only one thing that I asked from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's why it's the only thing I got, and that was Torah. Shenemar al king kol pikudei kol yishorti kol erach sheker sanes. The ways of lies I hate, and the only thing I asked and the only thing I wanted in my life was Torah. We could speak about this two Prakim and Pikudei Rebbe Eliezer for at least a month straight. But for tonight we'll make two observations. One observation is the simple kasha. The Mesilas Yesharim is based on the Gemara in Avodah Zarah. We're over there, it says the levels of growing, the steps of growth. Right? If you ever read Mesilas Yesharim, you saw it goes step after step. One midah to the next midah, Hasidus, Precious, this, that, and you grow on the levels. All the way at the end, the highest level is Gilui Eliyahu Hanavi. Then Eliyahu Hanavi comes into the picture. And here's a 28-year-old boy who doesn't know how to say Aleph Beis. And he gets Gilui Eliyahu Hanavi before he starts the first step of the Milas, of the Dargas HaSulam of growing. That's a kasha that all the Mefarshim ask. And there's many terutzim. And I have the simplest teretz, which I think is Emes La'amita Shel Torah. When you care enough to cry, because Shani Lilmay Torah, because I want to learn, then you skipped all the levels in one shot. If Torah means enough to you, that it's worth crying over, that this is what I want, I don't have what I want, then Eliyahu Hanavi comes straight. Then you skipped all the ranks on the ladder, you had an express train to Eliyahu Hanavi. And now comes to my ultimate point. We started off by saying life throws us many challenges. That's true. But if we have a bigger meaning to life than the challenges that life throws us, and the one thing I want is Mevaki Shani Lilmay Torah, I want to lead a productive life, then most of life's challenges fall apart on their own. It's very annoying to come outside in the morning and to have a flat tire and not be able to go to work with your own car. But I have to wait for AAA or Chavirim to show up and then tell you need to change the tire and it costs money and this and that. But if your life has a bigger meaning than your car, it's no big deal. It's very painful to get hurt by a friend who betrays you. But if life has a bigger meaning than your friend, then big deal. It's very annoying when somebody cuts you off online in Shopway. But if life has a bigger meaning than grocery stores, big deal. But the real question is, where's the focus? The person that is focused is Mivaki Shani Lilmay Torah on the level that he's willing to cry for it. on the level that this is everything to him. So then most things that come along the way don't mean anything. I once asked the Rosh Hashiva that somebody said something very not nice about him, if he's upset about it or not. He said he didn't even know. I said, what do you mean you didn't know? It was posted all over the place. So I said, I don't have to, if I had time to read the postings, I wouldn't be a Rosh Hashiva. I don't have time for this nonsense. So he said, so there's something bigger. There's something that means so much more. On a very simple level. Imagine a loyal, devoted Hatzalah guy is racing on the way to a call to save somebody who it's a matter of seconds to save his life. And from the porch of his house, while he's racing into his car to zoom over there and hopefully beat the seconds to save his wife screams that in the back of your shirt is untucked. Is he going to stop and tuck in his shirt? At that point, he doesn't care if he's wearing a shirt or not. He has a much bigger mission right now. That's the way you survive life. If we understand that there's a manig who's protecting us by Hashgacha Pratis, who in the big picture of life is such a greater mission, then what my mother said today in the fight with my father, and my brother didn't do this, and this one didn't do that, and I'm missing a few dollars in my car, and all the problems, and all the tests I failed, and all the teachers that were mean to me, it all falls away. There's something so much greater. There's no time. It's a unique approach. I'm not going to say not. But I always share with you personal experiences because that's what I know best. That's myself. And I say it openly. I'm not scared to say it. When I went out into public service, I knew I would be unique and different than most rabbis. And I knew I'm bringing something new to the table that maybe wasn't done before, and definitely in recent history. And I knew that jealousy of a young star is very great, and jealousy brings talk and controversy and this and that and all different things. And I always said to myself this: no matter what anybody thinks, no matter what anybody says, no matter what anybody likes or doesn't like, and it makes no difference who, what, when, where, why, Jewish or non-rabbi or none, as long as I'm going with the emes, my mission is so much greater than all this. I have to be busy with this one and that one and the other one. And I never went for any endorsement or any approvals or nothing. One Rebbe straight through, years and years. And recently we sat and had an interesting meeting that should give us all chizuk in our mission in life. 7 years ago when I first started one of my operations of giving out CDs, and then it was on a low scale, we didn't have money, but I remember there was 1 week, it was about 7.5 years ago maybe, that we distributed 60 CDs in 1 week. It was like such a simcha, it was unbelievable. And there was no money for CD duplicators and this, and it was in the computer one at a time. I don't know if you guys even remember how slow it used to be to burn a CD. It was out of control. I remember 1 week, 60 CDs, it was like a simcha g'dayla. And somebody, whoever it was, didn't like something I said in one of those 60 CDs that we gave out. And he was a owner of a local organization here, Muncie, and he started saying attacks and what's this poison? We should throw it in the bathroom. We should do this. Obviously, never. He had problems at home. I guess he was fighting with his wife, so he had to take it out on me. And my staff said maybe we should be more careful in the future. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. I said let's go with the emes. And along the way, I had many other obstacles like that in public service. Many other obstacles like that in public service. And all the years later, Kenai Nahara B'Chazdei Hashem should give me the strength to continue until 120. These guys, all their institutions closed. And the ones that are still open, they're behind 6 or 8 or 10 months on payroll. And none of them definitely expanded, for sure not. And we can, I know it today, and Hashem should give us koiches weiter, have a Jewish Torah center, and already, now we just opened the 19th place we're up to already, and counting. And every single month there's another place opening up. Millions by now. It used to be a million plus a little bit, but now we're already reaching millions of CDs and downloads of learning. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Bali Tshuva in every city around the world. Somebody told me a cute story when I was in Miami yesterday for a few hours. So a guy came over to me and told me, I want to tell you a very cute story. I said, what? So he tells me he was in a city that you guys probably wouldn't even know, but a little city in Southeast Asia for business. He has a factory there, whatever it was. And he was looking online to see if there's a Chabad there. That's one place Chabad didn't get to. I guess it's too deserted and too far away. But kosher food he needed, he had nothing. So he found that there was about 30 miles away, there was something that was titled as Jewish, Chabad, whatever it is, and he went. Turns out, yeah, nice place. He walks in, he asks the guy for food, the guy feeds him well, takes good care of him, and as he's sitting there, somebody else walks in too. With a similar story, he's in another one of these little villages, also with a factory, and whatever. And these guys are talking between themselves. So one guy tells the other guy, you're religious your whole life, you always kept kosher, that you drive here for kosher. He says, no, I just started 6 months ago. He says, how'd you start? He says, I'll be honest with you. I was in Peru, and I was in a synagogue, there's a Jewish synagogue in Peru. And over there they had these nice pictures, colorful CDs by the door. I took a CD, it was a guy named Yaakov Yagen. He spoke about kosher. From that day on, I started keeping kosher. The other guy bursts out laughing. He says, what, you're making fun of me? You could listen to the CD too, it was a good CD. He says, no, I'll tell you an interesting story. I was in Buenos Aires, in a synagogue on my father's yard side. They were giving out sets of 22 CDs on different topics of a guy named Yaakov Yagen. I listened to all 22 and I became religious. And these two met each other somewhere in Southeast Asia in a little village. When you look at life like that, the mission's so much greater than all the nonsense along the way. There's such a bigger picture than all this stupidity that goes on and all the Yetzer Hara that comes in the form of different ways. Who cares? So today the car's smashed, and tomorrow this, and the next day that, and the third day Gaza. Who cares? Anybody who's on a great mission is going to have obstacles. Anybody who's on something big is going to have obstacles. And every Jew has a great mission. That's one day to face Hashem and be able to answer the list of questions that the Gemara says, the Rebbeinu Shalom asks us when we give back our soul in heaven. Nosata v'notata be'emunah. Did you have faith in your dealings in life? Kovata itim ha'torah. Did you spend time every week in a shir? Did you learn? And the rest of the list. Tzipisa liYeshua. Did you eagerly wait for Mashiach to come? Tzipia, eager. Yeah, maybe Mashiach will come. I heard so many times the Mashiach talk. It's not because. Tzipisa, wait. If any of you have ever seen his little kids, every morning he would sit and make cheshbonos and pshetlach that many of them didn't even add up, just to prove that right now Mashiach's coming. That's it. It's a matter of this second. And he had his little suitcase with the Mashiach clothing, and he would literally hold on to it for a part of the day, because any second he needs a suitcase right by him, so he has his clothes to be ready to be Mekabel Pnei Mashiach. That's Tzipisa liYeshua. Today the Rebbeinu Shalom is doing with us chasodim. He's showing us black and white, as clearly as could be. In the strongest way. He's showing us clearly. Be'achris hayomim, like the Navi writes. So our mission, Be'achris hayomim, is even greater, because we can't even say we'll come back in a Gilgul, we'll have another chance. Because when Mashiach comes, there's no more Gilgul, and that's it, it's over. So if our mission is so great, and Kenai Nahara, over here in the room of Tzidkonius, we're definitely on that mission in the right way, so everything along the way, it just doesn't mean anything. The guy who just went to pick up his lottery check of $250 or whatever it is, $1 million tonight in the lottery, and on the way a quarter fell out of his pocket, doesn't bend down to pick it up. He's busy with much greater things. Hashem should help. We should be zoiche, mevakish, ani lumoy Torah, to be mevakish, to lead such a productive life, and in that schus we'll grow and grow and grow and grow even more. And Be'ez Hashem, we should all have good news, and only good news. Next week there's no class due to my trip to Israel in Tveria, and but God willing, the week after Wednesday we'll resume the Wednesday night classes.